cracking this motherfucker.
Yeah, we're gonna crack them right on live.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We the Patriots podcast. Salasate.
Vinny.
Got Vinny in the house today in person.
It's about time.
A little bit of ying. A little bit of ying's going in today.
Need it.
I think everybody does.
Yeah, seriously.
Everybody needs to sit back every now and then. You're that type of person, like, this very special person in my life who just studies and studies and studies, and sometimes you just gotta go out for a drink.
Gotta enjoy life.
My friend, it's been a bit.
Has been.
You came on the podcast real early.
A while ago, yeah.
I actually archived all those episodes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I took them all out. I was at the point where I was like, wow, the podcast changed so much in the past 3 months, let alone like when that started. It was like there was no fully formed ideas back then. There was nothing, so I just kind of like started it afresh from right when we started putting more effort into it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
good idea.
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out. I always have them all saved. It's not like they're not there.
Exactly.
You know?
Someday pop them back out.
Mm-hmm. So, my man, last time you came on, it was all like politics and crap.
Yeah,
I want to get into a little more me and you.
Yeah,
Never really
for
got
sure.
to talk about it because we were kind of just involving Andrew, getting to know each other and stuff. But me and you, we met pretty much over Xbox.
Yeah,
That was how we really met. I think it was like 6th, 7th grade. I think we were meeting over Xbox and
maybe even
had
elementary.
Had a lot of mutual friends, but never actually met in person. And then I think, did we meet in person 7th grade, or was it really 8th grade?
For sure.
We had like Crescendi's class, so we had like social studies class together with like our old football coach and stuff, and so then we really started to become friends. And high school came, we had so many classes together and shit.
Yeah. I was in your homeroom.
I think I gave you your first job.
Yeah.
So we got to bond a lot over shoveling snow, fucking digging holes in the summer and shit. And very quickly Vinny found out that wasn't for him, and he got out of that while I just kept going.
Oh yeah. Kept rolling.
So Vinny's been up to his own fun stuff in the meantime though, and as we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we all
no
are.
joke.
I mean, Vinny's over in fucking Newark doing school. Some fun stuff over there, man. You get to see some characters.
Yeah, it is interesting to say the least. I haven't been there in a couple weeks, honestly.
Doing a lot of online stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I have one class in person on Tuesdays, then I have another class, I don't know when. Neither are mandatory, so I don't go.
Not even worth it.
No.
Yep. With the new COVID stuff, everything became almost optional, and it was like, well, for anybody who can get the work done at their house and not have to show up to school, why would you?
Exactly. That goes for work. That goes literally for anything.
For anything, yeah. Look at how many people are not stuck at home, but are still at home, and you ask them, don't you want to go back to work? And a lot of them say no.
Yeah.
I'm just as productive at home. I get to see my family at home.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did kind of find comical, though, I saw this, I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday, saw some lady wrote an article that was complaining about how now work and home have been so intertwined because of the pandemic that you have an issue because you have no work-life balance.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I guess
that.
you wouldn't know exactly what it's like to have your dad as a boss living in your house and having it 24/7.
Yeah.
But it's still intensive.
Yeah.
So it was funny reading that from my perspective because it's like, the work-life balance doesn't exist in my life. So it's funny for you who used to have a work-life balance, not you, that lady who had a work-life balance, COVID hit, and then it's all from home.
Yeah.
And that's a totally different perspective, man. And same thing for kids, you're thinking you're going to go to college, you're going to have the college experience, and all of a sudden you're stuck in your room for an entire 2 semesters, 3 semesters. Most people, it was like 3 or 4 semesters in a row where it wasn't even allowed to go back.
Yeah, things are slowly, I think now things are getting back to the way they were. Kind of. Like
with like a big asterisk next to it. I think even Gia's classes actually just this week took masks away.
No kidding.
So, like over in Montclair, they still got them. I know way too many people at Montclair, and they just they keep instilling the mask thing, and it's like, for who? It's not for the kids anymore, man. It never was for the kids, but now that we know, it's for who? It's for the teachers who are paranoid, whoever's complaining, the board of ed. I
think it's partially just to keep people in the same place.
That too. Yeah. It's a compliance thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's be real. I think, how many months ago? Beginning of the year, people were getting like, whatever, when the new Omicron thing came out. Or whatever it was.
Omicron, I don't remember how exactly it was, yep.
Everybody was getting sick, and it was weird. Mm-hmm. But
nobody was getting real sick. It was like everyone was getting a cold.
And then since then, it
died out.
Yeah,
I think what happened was, almost everybody got it. I think most people didn't realize they got it. I'm being one of them. I knew I had something, but I kept testing negative on everything. I was like, whatever. I'm not going to keep going. But everybody around me had sniffles and stuff, and I was like, this is what the world is calling a pandemic right now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I was listening to a really good show. It was Rogan 2 or 3 days ago with Josh. What was his name? Josh something. He's like a pro wrestler. He trains people, but he's like he made a really good point. He's like, throughout this pandemic, I don't think he was leaning right or left. I think he was analyzing it pretty well from the middle perspective. And he said, throughout this pandemic, people really lost a connection between death. Mm-hmm. They really thought that they were the preventers of death. Yeah. And it's like, I'm sorry, but no matter what you do, at the end of the day, we're all going 6 feet down. Yeah. It doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter if it was COVID, car crash, bullet to the head, stabbed in the back. They're all putting you 6 feet down in the ground. Mm-hmm. And for a very high percentage of the population really thought that they had control over this thing for a long time. And even still, I think to this day, a decent amount of people think that they are controlling their own situation and their destiny by wrapping their face up in something that is not protecting them.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And we're doing something that clearly doesn't, it's not doing much.
No.
I hate to say that. I don't want to sound controversial or anything, but it's true. You're putting a mask over your face, and what are the chances that you're going to get it? Probably still pretty high, if you're going to get it.
I don't think you're being controversial anymore.
Yeah.
But you used to be.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I mean, because you look at this. How many people are actually going to comply with masks? The percentage is not 100%. Never will be.
Never.
How many people are wearing the proper mask? Most people are wearing bandanas, shirts around their face. They're wearing, like, I remember in the beginning of all this crap, I saw like a video got famous of women making masks out of their bras. Your bra is supposed to be breathable so your tits don't sweat.
Exactly.
As is any other fabric, it's supposed to be breathable. What are you doing? The only logical thing in my brain that makes sense to actually stop COVID if you wanted to would be to put yourself in a bubble, like a hazmat suit, and have a respirator pumping fresh air in. That's clean. That's the only way in my head that makes sense. Or you have a filter on whatever your mask is filtering out the air. Even if you have that, I genuinely don't think you're going to do it all day. I don't think you're going to put yourself at zero risk. I think you're still putting yourself in harm's way to some degree, and you're going through so much effort to take yourself outside of normality to protect yourself from this one little thing that you're not even paying attention to the other facets of life.
Yeah, and this isn't to downplay anyone that's been affected by this, because there's
not at all.
Yeah, there's plenty
and
of people.
especially in the beginning of it.
Yeah,
because in the beginning of this, the virus was far more deadly. Mm-hmm. It was unknown, and it was running through, because nobody had any sort of natural immunity built up whatsoever, and it was running through our older population like a buzzsaw. Yeah. And, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Yeah. But what it does mean is for people our age especially to be treating this as if you are, I want to say almost like treating it as if you're God, like as if you have the ability to change the outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
And
you can't let this hinder on your life plans.
No.
You really can't.
No, I think people need to take a step back and realize how much this has affected them, if it has affected them that much. Because a lot of people haven't been affected by it. Like me being one of them. I pretty much from the beginning didn't really anticipate this being as big as some were making it out to be. Mm-hmm. And it turns out it wasn't. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't big, because they didn't, to this day, they haven't stopped talking about it. Yeah. So it is a big thing. But to treat it as if it was the end of the world, it was the next bubonic plague, it was... Man, we're going to keep getting sick till the end of time.
Exactly.
Until we die out and fizzle out and the sun's burnt out. We're going to get sick.
Been happening all of human history.
an animal history. You're gonna eat a raw piece of meat by accident. You're gonna have something that's foul. You're gonna have spoiled milk. You're gonna have a rotten egg. Something's gonna upset your stomach. Something's gonna make you sick, even regardless of if you were able to tamp out every single disease that's affecting us right now, which we still can't.
100%.
Like on that same podcast I was talking about, they were talking about how filthy it is to allow homelessness to exist as a way of life. So it's not like saying homeless people don't belong, because it's not what they're saying. What they're saying is to allow it to exist as basically a recurring problem because it's making you money, or because the system's so big that you can't handle it. And you're not really helping anybody, because these people are now, they've built up so many numbers in Los Angeles. I think they were saying there was a typhoid breakout. It's like you have medieval diseases coming back up and spreading because people aren't vaccinated. Yeah. People aren't actually clothing and protecting themselves that way. They're not cleaning themselves. Yeah. And it's just a filth box. And what are you expecting to come out of that? Yeah. That's positive. So, I mean, you're just going to end up doing it to yourself when you start deciding, like at this high level in society, they're deciding who's a part of society and who's not. Yeah. And when you start kicking people out of society, making them feel like they don't belong, and then you end up with the homeless problem. Yeah. The homeless problem is a bunch of people who feel like they don't fit into society some way, shape, or form, and part of that is from the top.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course, those people got themselves into those situations. Like look at Matt, like the guy I had back on almost a month ago now. Not in good shape, man. Yeah. But you can't tell me that hasn't been promoted by the system.
No, yeah, of course.
That being said, he made some bad choices, and he's still making bad choices. Bad choices is what's putting him exactly where he is. Yeah. But those bad choices were put in front of him multiple times by a system that was trying to help him. Yeah. He told me he had somebody in his sober living facility that ended up selling him the drugs.
Exactly.
How are you?
There's so much that goes into it.
It's not right.
And so many different aspects of it that it's just hard to even put into words, hard to get a grip on. Like, my thing is, it's hard for me to put certain things into words because of how many different things contribute to whatever it is. And something like that issue is just something that comes down to the individual, comes down to the system, it comes down to
family, comes down to money, comes down to
all subjective.
There's so many different things that it ends up affecting, and I totally agree. It's why it's fun to talk about too, because you're not in that shithole.
Yeah.
So you don't have to constantly think about it. You're able to analyze it from an outside perspective. Mm-hmm. For someone who's living inside of it, when they're finally able to articulate how they're feeling and stuff, and like he's getting attacked for how he's feeling. Mm-hmm. Or someone in a similar situation. Like think of someone who comes out of the woodworks to finally exclaim that they were sexually abused by maybe a family member or maybe by someone they had a long-term relationship with, and the people that still support that person are shitting on the woman or the man that's come out to explain. You know, there's a few times, I can't think of a specific example, but there's a few times where like a Hollywood level star is a male and they were sexually abused by their female partner and they're not taken seriously by the media. Yeah. And it's like, why is that the case? And you wonder why it spreads to lower levels of society, like, you know, not lower levels, but just not A-list Hollywood stars. Yeah, like there's definitely, regardless of male or female, when you come out to accuse and you make a big accusation, and maybe the big accusation doesn't necessarily lead to like a conviction of any sort. It's just they did something malicious and it wasn't right and hurt me. Mm-hmm. You're putting yourself out there to get slapped.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's the same type of thing that happened to someone like him, or someone comes out and they finally expose just how raw and how tarnished your life could be when you commit to these things, when you commit to a life of prostitution, when you commit to a life of gangbanging, when you commit to a life of drugs, when you commit to a life of crime, right? I think you just killed her.
Oh yeah, she's done. She's done.
You don't have any other options, right? Like you finally start to come out to the real world, the accepted world, and then the accepted world's had its critiques for you and has stuff to say, and it's a new world. It's a new world for them, new perspectives, you know. Never been out in an accepting society. So like imagine a society trying to accept a heroin addict. Yeah.
society doesn't accept shit. And no
matter what it is. Let alone that.
Yeah,
but I'm saying they don't accept, like, the fact that, like, a lot of people can't even accept still you're gay. Yeah, a lot of people still can't accept that you're not fitting into my thing that way. Yeah. That doesn't bother me. Just don't do it with me.
Exactly.
Just that's not my problem. But some people genuinely to this day feel the thing like I can't hang out around those type of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it seems like you're actually the hateful one. You're not able to stoop down and just have a conversation with them, even if you don't agree.
Yeah.
And that can go the other way too. There's plenty of people in that group, that LGBT group, that held up group, that will not converse, or actually even worse, I think, than that, will only attack those that don't belong to their group.
Yeah.
And you don't allow for any cohesion. There's no ability to talk. It's like, it's very similar to the thing when people will blame high-level shit going on in the world on racism.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it exists. It has to exist. Yeah, exactly. It's a genuine phenomenon, but you're telling me that racism is the reason for X.
Yeah.
How?
Exactly. I think people like to pin something that's so...
It's a scapegoat.
Yes, and certain scapegoats are like for the racism thing. If you say something, you're racist. And let's see, another thing it's kind of hard to put into words.
Sexism is a good one. You're sexist. You're a misogynist.
Yeah.
You know, you're a terrorist.
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing.
It's, I guess, yeah, across the board, it is like all the same types of things. And you know what? A lot of the times, if you're saying something's racist when it's like realistically not racist, or you're saying something's sexist, or
not racist, or maybe it's not even anything. That it's not racist. Maybe it includes race, but that's not the broader point.
Yes,
and I think I think that's actually more important, because I think that's the point I was trying to nail on. In society today, if something seems like it's getting into a darker topic, it's like that label gets thrown on it.
Exactly.
And you can't talk about it.
What I was trying to get to. Yeah.
You can't talk about it in any other light except for the light that's accepted by society. So think about it in one that I love to bring up, and it's so controversial, but it's fantastic. The George Floyd one. The guy died by the guy being on his back for 8 minutes, right? You can make so many assumptions on that. Just off that video, it looks malicious, everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you get the autopsy reports. Oh, his toxicology's off. He had drugs in his system. It's not 100% consistent with the placement of where the cop was, but it's not saying that it wasn't affected by it. So it was almost inconclusive, right? And so people would pick their evidence that stuck with them and say, okay, he died by the drugs. And other people would pick their evidence and say strictly to the video, because the video looked the worst, he died by. But the guy got convicted in the whole court of public opinion. He got convicted to be a racist.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the point of the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The point of the whole video to me was this guy is well aware he's doing something wrong, staring at a camera while doing so, and yet he still continues to do it. The people around him aren't stopping him from doing it. And then a man died in his care.
Yeah.
Even if he did not die of what the officer was doing, he died in his care.
Yeah.
That's an absolute truth.
That's
and
the point of it. Yeah.
That's where I can make the point that he died of some sort of malpractice. The man deserves to be in jail, but for what?
Yes.
And that's where like the argument has to be had. The argument isn't to be had that the man's a racist. There's no proof.
Yeah.
The man showed up to do his job one day and he failed to execute. He did something that looks so egregious that I can't imagine any of my cop friends doing anything like that, because it doesn't make sense. A man who is already on the ground face down, and you continue to stay on top of him as if he's a threat for 8 minutes, 9 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So the point was not, is he racist? Because nothing even comes close to proving it.
Yeah.
His history, his history shows that he might be a bad cop. There's one thing. George Floyd's history shows he might be a bad citizen, genuinely, a criminal, repeated offender, drug user. You're not allowed to make those distinctions because it was already claimed racist. That's my point. And I think, like I said, so that's a controversial one, but I think it's also an easy one to use, because I don't think anything I said is wrong.
Yeah. People and they completely miss the actual point of something because of the easy label that there is to tack onto it.
And once it has that easy label, like, it becomes that two-sided thing. So one side thinks it's racist and one side thinks it's not racist.
Exactly.
Now, if you want to make the argument that George Floyd was not in the right, before you make that, you have to make the argument that Derek Chauvin wasn't racist, because otherwise, if you don't clarify that, then your whole argument doesn't make any sense. Why are you making it in the first place?
Yeah.
My point is, it doesn't matter. You already put that label on. That's our society today.
Yeah.
It's something that our society loves to do.
Exactly, and that's what our society just is the best at, is just labeling labeling something that it's the easiest thing to label it, and like just that alone.
Well, never reevaluating.
Yes, exactly. There's that's people in general, which I guess make up the society. They don't like to look at things for the reality. They like to fabricate it to their own peace of mind narrative. In a way. Yeah, in their own narrative. And it's like, I don't know. I think there's just so many problems with people individually that it just, and especially today, nowadays, it just...
I agree. It's layers.
Yeah, and I could say with my major and stuff, what I'm studying, there has been a lot of racism in America. There is no getting around that genuine fact.
100%. You're studying what exactly?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice.
Yeah.
Just for everyone to understand exactly.
And
with that major, you're forced to look on history. You're forced to because why? Because you learn from history.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of changes in the law, all the changes in the proceedings were made after bad events got publicized.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and I really do like to think, because it does seem that way, as time's moving on, things are getting between people. I feel like they're just getting better. And obviously, the only reason it's perceived that it's not is because what's going to make the news, what's going to be in the news, the 100%. Worst shit.
And it's always going to be in the news. Well, the worst or the best.
Yes.
It's the two polarizing things, and it's important to note for everybody out there, you need to understand that negative news is going to affect you more than positive news.
For sure.
And that goes for anything. So when it comes to monetary gain, it feels equivalent in badness to lose $100 as it does feel good to win 50.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get
Same thing applies to positive and negative emotion.
For sure.
So it's almost double.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, the weight of it mentally is doubly bad for something bad, and it's only singly good for something good. Yeah. Right? And so you're going to harp onto that negative. So if your Instagram feed is all depressing shit about Russia, and then you have memes about some person being depressed, and your whole feed is just crap that's just making you sad. How do you expect to be living happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You're only forced with... That being said, if all you're being reinforced with is positive reinforcement, workout videos, funny memes that are actually funny, uplifting stuff that's telling you to go out and chase the day, chase the moment, or stuff like that that's actually promoting good behavior, how are you not set up to be for success?
Yeah.
Right? So you can set your social media, your phone, whatever tool, whatever gadget you have up for success, or you could set it up to kill you.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that's truth, and I think that can move into a better topic later. I wanted to kind of focus in a little bit on business to try to tie in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You told me before you might have some. Well, you might be able to guide me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about business, my business knowledge is scattered.
Yes, I understand.
Right. So it's all experience. It's not a lot of writing it down.
I think just you as a person, and we were kind of talking about it before, how you have a lot, nobody has their stuff figured out, but you have goals and you have plans, and obviously a lot of them are like this podcast, work. You're zeroed in on things. You know what you want. And to me, like when we're alone getting food, the way you talk about it and your compassion for it and your hunger for it is just fascinating. I think a lot of people could 100% benefit from hearing you talk about these things. Okay. So, I don't know. I don't plan things out very well. So
No, it's not a problem. Do you want to talk about planning things? Because when you're like something you really just mentioned that stuck out to me was how I pick something and I go after it.
Mm-hmm.
A big thing for me is, and I don't think this is particular to me, but I think it is something you have to do as a human being, whether you're doing it mentally or whether you're actually doing it. You have to write down your goals.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, your goals have to be acknowledged. So whether that is, I want to get up to this squat, this deadlift, and this bench by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a goal that you have and you've mentally taken stock of, or maybe even written it down. And you're building up progress. And a good thing to keep in log is, so at that point I'd tell you, why aren't you keeping a workout book?
Yeah.
Why aren't you writing down exactly what your progress is towards that goal?
Mm-hmm.
So writing things down is important, and keeping track. So you don't necessarily need to exactly write it down, but it does help.
Yes, for sure.
Having this thing all the time, there's a notes section on there.
Yeah.
Use it. You don't need to have a notepad. Yeah, I use it a lot too. I have hundreds of notes, hundreds if not thousands of notes, and they're just stupid notes. A lot of them are grocery store stuff that I just end up deleting that day, but some of the stuff stays on there for months, and some of the stuff never ends. You know, I have like an original letter to like my girlfriend, and it's like one of the coolest things I ever wrote, so I save it in my notes because I don't have anywhere else to save it. I don't want to like she has it somewhere, but so I saved it and stuff like that. With goals, it's important, and it's important too because inevitably you're going to have some goals that you fail and some goals that you actually succeed in. It's important to reevaluate once you actually hit that time period. Don't let yourself like, oh, I got a little bit more time to get this goal done because I set myself 3 months and I'm at 3 months, 2 days. Let yourself fail that goal and say, all right, next month or whenever my next time frame's up, 6 months, 10 months. Now I know I can achieve that because I'm so close already. I can already achieve it. Now what's my next step? How am I going to grow from that, and how am I going to learn from not getting this in time? How am I going to make sure that that leads on to future growth? And how are you going to not allow negativity to affect you too? So that's a big one.
For sure.
You know?
Something that I've also realized that, you know, I could say me and you, we're kind of blessed for this, but we have a very good idea of what we like to do and what we want to do. I've realized that there's a lot of people out there that have no clue what they like, what they want to do, and I think that's a major, I would say a major issue, because I feel like that's how people end up doing things in life for the rest of their lives that they don't want to do.
Yeah, I think that's important for someone who wants to be a better person too, because you have to be, they say love thy work, and love thy work is like, it's really not cheesy. It is a real thing. You're supposed to love what you do. And that doesn't mean you love every single day. There's going to be stressful days of the best job in the world, and there should be. But if you care so much that it is your whole passion, it is your whole heart, that's why you're here, it's going to make you care more. It's not going to feel like you're working. It's going to feel like you're doing something productive. When 100%. You're doing something productive...
I've been noticing that a lot lately.
Mentally, when you're doing something productive, it doesn't feel like work, doesn't feel like it's dragging on. But when you're doing something that's counterproductive, especially once you get in the mindset of realizing what you're doing and what, you know, it doesn't feel good to be doing stuff that is counterproductive to your future growth, and it doesn't feel good to be doing stuff that's going to possibly hurt you in the future. So you stop doing that stuff. Like, I think a good example is this. How many people in college do you know that just go out to drink every single weekend?
A whole lot.
How many people in college do you know that drink every single day?
Enough.
Enough to know a couple, right? Because I have the same situation.
Exactly.
Right? It's not good.
No.
It's not good for a 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old, 25-year-old.
Exactly.
It's not good for anybody, let alone our age,
Yeah.
at the time when you're supposed to be developing into whatever you're supposed to do. So this is what is already included in what we call the college experience. You're supposed to be drinking by now. You're supposed to know how to get your face fucked. You're supposed to know how to get annihilated.
Yeah, for sure.
Why? What is achievable about that? And not only that, how much does it set you back monetarily? How much does it set you back in your pride for yourself the next morning when you're waking up, throw up all over yourself every single weekend? And okay, maybe no, you're not throwing up every weekend, but you're getting to the point of blackout. You're drinking 15 beers on a Saturday night. And it's like, for our age group, it's actually incentivized to go and just do that.
Oh, 100%.
The whole system, schools, parents, brothers and sisters.
That's kind of just the understanding of what you do when you get to that point.
And you haven't had this college experience because you didn't go to a big college, and you didn't go for that reason. But I think you know, and how many people do you see that don't realize that wasn't their experience until 10 years down the road? How many of your cousins, how many of your aunts and uncles say, "Oh, back in my day, yeah, but that's not me anymore." Why was it you ever?
Yeah.
You know, what is that something? I'm not saying don't go and try it, but once you do it a few times, it's like, this is like what I'm going to do for the next 4 years. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And so, like, how do you not come to the conclusion that, well, maybe instead of going out to drink and it's Wednesday night, maybe I'll stay in and I'll study.
Yeah.
Or maybe this weekend, maybe we just stay in the dorm. I don't know, just play around, like have some fun. Maybe we'll drink here, but just keep it chill, not go out clubbing or something, or just whatever. Why does it always have to be this monstrosity of drinking events and stuff?
I think there's no answer for it, but I think there is a plausible response to that. I think it's just because, like what I was saying before, people just don't have something to fill that. Like,
I agree. There's nothing to fill it, and I think that unfortunately goes back to how just how driven our young kids are. Yeah. But I don't think it's just young kids. I have to really say this because I mean it. I think it's all Americans and all people. I think people are not chasing anything anymore. Yeah, they're just living life.
Yes.
I have to say this. It's so easy to live now. If you're in America. Now, I can say this pretty confidently, and if you're out in the middle of Africa in the Saharan desert, it's a different story. Mm-hmm. Okay, life is not easy for you. But when you're living in a first world society, or something that resembles it at least even, and you're no longer worrying about a bear that's going to come and swallow your face or your child's face this afternoon because you didn't build up your brick house fast enough, right? Or just old world problems are not, like, people aren't getting sick and dying at 39 right now.
Yeah.
Genuinely, in the grand scheme of things. Now, COVID is a weird thing, but people are not just dying at the age of 40. Mm-hmm. We have people living until the age of 80 consistently.
Yeah.
Right? Things are weird as like a human time frame. Things are not normal right now.
Not at all.
It's so easy to survive. If you just, as a woman, show your tits online, you can make enough money to feed yourself and a family forever. As long as they're halfway decent and you have a smile. Yeah. You can even Photoshop it at this point.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it is so, the effort required to make livable wage at this point is so bare minimum, and still you have a big faction of people who aren't willing to do that work.
And that's the thing that I see, and it's like you're doing a disservice to the people that wish they could be in that position to be able to.
100%. Have you ever seen the Reddit anti-work?
No.
My God, what a cancerous place. When I first heard about this place, so you think about anti-work. Think about exactly what it's. So it's not like people who have gripes with work. It's not just this. It's people who actually actively get in the way of progress at work, who think that it is not their job to be productive for the boss, who make all of these claims that just have it doesn't make any sense to a logical human being, but it makes sense to someone who wants to sit home and earn money doing nothing.
Exactly.
And when you don't have participation in society, like, I don't care how you do it, but what are you producing? Are you helping a boss? Doesn't matter what that boss does. Are you helping them to produce something because you don't have the wherewithal, the resources to do it yourself? Because that's not something to be ashamed of. Yeah. That's what labor is supposed to be. Labor is supposed to be, I don't have what's required to produce something myself. I will therefore sell my time and body to somebody who has the resources, and they will pay me something to balance that out, because it's not a fair trade at that point. You're selling your body and selling your mind, something that should be producing its own stuff. And what's the trade? Okay, money.
Yeah.
Now, it used to be you're getting food, possibly shelter, right? I'm thinking way long ago. So, and when you, so if you think back biblically, you actually, if you sold yourself in, you would literally sell yourself into slavery, but it wasn't slavery. You were being fed. You were given quarters, but you were controlled. You were told what hours to work. And that's what a lot of biblical people who have issues with the Bible call slavery.
So it's.
I'm gonna take a rip anyway.
Yeah, it's finito.
But that's what work used to be. Mm. So when people are so removed from that, so now how easy is it to go get a job? Yeah. For anybody.
It's pretty damn fucking easy.
There's help wanted signs on 75% of doors.
Yeah. And it's just, I just think it's a shame that people aren't willing to just do anything with themselves and like.
There are a lot of people that are.
Yeah.
The sad reality is we have a very high majority of people who aren't.
Yeah. It's like I was saying before, like you should want to.
Oh, she's dead.
Yeah, she's gone. You should want to. Just for the people that wish they were in your position to do something.
You should want to do
You should want to do something. You should want to contribute to the world to try to make it a better place. Now, it doesn't matter. I think once you start living that way and you start consciously
need this thing yet?
Yeah, I'm pretty much almost done with that. Thank you, sir. Once you start living that way and you start consciously trying to move towards that type of betterment, things will fall into place.
Well, at that point, things are unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important place for people to get to in life when you want to contribute, when you want to do more, because it makes you want to be better, makes you want to make the people around you better.
For sure.
And it's also like a quality of like just independence, right? So you're now taking on responsibilities that were other people's, and you're taking advantage.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You can't be unwilling. You can't be reserved. You can't think that someone else is going to do something for you. You have to sometimes put the load on your own shoulders and go and do it. Doesn't mean do everything yourself, but it does mean like, I think a very good example for people would be when you see someone else giving an opportunity at work. And when I say that, it could be as simple as someone in the office is just leaving a few papers undone every night, because I don't work in an office, so this should pretty much carry over to any business. You see someone leaves just a few small tasks undone at the end of the day, and you just finish them. You don't really tell the guy you finished them. You really just finish it for yourself, hand it in to the boss, whatever you got to do, or cleaned up at the end of the day, whatever that thing that was left undone, and you do it, and you see what's going to happen. Most of the time, whoever's job it used to be will see that it was done. And they didn't have to do it, so they'll allow it to keep happening. So when you come in that next time, it's left undone again. Keep doing it. Don't complain. As soon as you start complaining, you're not helping the process anymore. Now you're just acting as if this is a burden. No, just do it and don't complain. And then when the next person leaves a little work undone, you just do it and don't complain. And you continue to do your work. You don't put your work below their work. No, you get your stuff done, and slowly you're going to be able to build up a repertoire that is up for promotion, or it's up for, because people are going to be looking around you and saying, well, I used to do all of this stuff and now I'm only doing 3/4 of what I used to do, and somehow we haven't failed to meet production standards at all. And boss is going to realize that, boss is going to realize who's picking up the slack, and boom, you have an upgrade, you have your chance. But that's all you need to do. And I have to be honest, it is that simple. And if you just put your head down and you work and you don't let other people's bullshit get in your way, you don't expect anyone to give anything to you, you just keep working. Eventually, even if that boss that you're working for at that point doesn't acknowledge you, another boss will.
Yeah.
And then when you get an offer, which will happen, or you see an opportunity, you go and ask for an offer. Hey, can I have a job here? I think I can represent a pretty good person. I can make you a lot of money. And generally, a good employer will realize.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. A good employer will literally see that. You know that. So
it's what you're going to be able to do when you want to be moving up in the world. You want to seek someone who actually sees you're good. You're not looking for a job to just be another person. Because if you are, all you're looking at as an income. You're not looking at the job as an opportunity. All right. So when you start treating your life's work, so your full-time job, which is whatever it will be, as a meaningful thing, something to commit to, and then you really get better at it, better and better each day. I mean, taking steps each day, because as you start progressing and getting better gets easier too. So you start actually getting better quicker, right? When you reach that point of like positive feedback, and then it turns into like exponential growth type of situation, there's nothing that can stop you.
Yeah.
Unless someone wants to kill you. That's it. Because
if you get to that point, you're doing something right.
What are you doing? What are you doing? All you're doing is filling in shoes that need to be filled and taking the responsibility on the head.
Yeah. But if you were to tell, I feel like a lot of the people our age, you were to tell them that to work harder than they think they need to, that's not going to fly over well. Right?
It's not that it's not going to fly over well, they're just not going to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have a problem with me telling you to work harder, that's your problem, right?
Exactly.
So for that, I mean, someone can comment, but they'll never will, but someone can comment, well, I don't agree, you should only have to work X hard. Go ahead. Because look what happens.
Yeah.
I'll get the promotion and you will stay.
Exactly.
And then you will complain that I'm making more money, and then the cycle continues.
Yeah.
So when you stop complaining about the other person doing well and you just go do well yourself, no longer are you even thinking about the other person anymore because you have a direction.
100%.
That's important. For people to realize that comparison's not a bad thing. Comparison, just on its face. But comparing yourself to another person in order to try to be like them or in order to try to emulate their life, listen, you're going to get there and find out just how unhappy they are. Yeah, because you'll be their person now. Yeah. And you're going to be like, damn, what is happiness? Is it this new person? I go get that person? Or are you going to realize, no, what? This last person I tried to emulate didn't make me happy, and now I'm not happy, and maybe I need to do something.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it needs to come down to.
Maybe it's my own growth in my own way. Yeah. That's gonna.
And I mean, to get all spiritual and funky with you, what it comes down to is you got to talk to God. Whatever way you do it, you got to go say, hey, talking to God. However you do it, I don't know what I'm doing. I need an answer here. I'm working a job I hate. I am in school and I don't want to be here anymore. I am I'm managing a family that I can no longer handle. Whatever your problem in life is, seek the solution through yourself. Do not expect someone else to hand one to you. Right? Generally speaking, this is an honest truth of prayer. You know the answer already. You're either afraid of it or you haven't exactly been shown it.
Yeah.
You may know something that leads close to it, or you may literally be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And more than likely, it's that one. It's you know what the proper course of action is.
Yes.
And you don't want to because it may have an outcome that you don't like.
Yeah.
And when you're on this growth trajectory, especially when you get far into it, you'll start to realize that almost every single decision you make is positive or I'm going back down to where I was 3 years ago. That's a good place to be. Because that means that decisions are so 100% clear to you right now that they're all positive. Why would you pick the one that takes you down the path that brings you back to where you were 3 years ago? I don't want to be there anymore, so it's pretty clear that choice A is the answer, right? That's the point of growth you want to be at, where it's so obvious what the right decision to make is because you've already been through the process. So even though I may not know my next footstep tomorrow, I have such a good idea about it that when I need to lift my foot up and go, it knows where to walk.
Yeah. People are afraid of growth. People do not want to grow. And in a way, they are kind of doing it consciously. Like,
yeah,
I think a lot of people are afraid of that. It's
important to say that I think it's a lot of subconscious. They don't actually know. Now they do know. They're doing stuff actively that is putting their growth down. I think they just don't realize it. Yeah. I think it's become so layered on a normal person's set that when you have someone like, you'll say mirror you, but just someone who wants to be a better person automatically is going to start going like this, even if they're on the bottom. But if they just so happen to be halfway in, they have a head start. And then they just go like this, and they rise. Yeah. When you have just such a lifetime of... So imagine, our lifetime trajectory, starting at 18 years old, may have been like this, and now at 21 and 22, it's going like this.
Yeah.
Think about people who've been, maybe at some point in their life, more like here, and they've been just this, this. And now all of a sudden... You have 21-year-olds and 22-year-olds who are up here, and are you really going to be prepared to settle down, refocus, and launch again? Or are you going to actually, what's more likely, to continue the downward slope, complaining all the way down that this is unfair, this other group is too young, they're getting chances that is not, and they're going to get kicked out of the workforce.
Oh yeah.
And now this is generally speaking, but this is our parents' generation. This is the complainers. This is the people that aren't willing to put in all the work. It's not even our parents necessarily, but it's that millennial generation.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And so I genuinely think that they're in trouble in the workforce. I think as they start to grow, younger people, our trajectory looks a lot better. We're not so in our own heads. We have issues. Don't get me wrong with that. We got issues, but the work ethic's high.
Yes.
And when you look at just the resume of the millennials, it's tough. And it's actually going to be tough when there are leaders.
Yes.
It's going to be really hard.
For sure.
It's going to be really hard on everybody. Because to this second right now, they have not proven that they have that quality.
Mm-hmm. Can agree with that. Can definitely agree with that.
It's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
You have to think, though, those people are now going to be the new CEOs. Those people are now going to be the new congressmen. Those people are going to now be the new senators. And eventually, they will be the new president of the United States. Now, that one's not coming for a little bit, but millennials are turning into their 40s now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's where they're at. And that's the management age. That's when you're stuck in the middle.
100%.
Right? And they're going to start taking their leaps forward, but I guarantee you those leaps forward are actually going to be dirty, conniving behind each other's backs because they don't know any other way of getting forward instead of just internalizing and growing oneself. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough.
That's huge. It's
going to be really tough, man.
I like what you said about God before, and I think that's extremely important because it literally does not matter what you are, how you do it, like what you believe in, but if you're, I don't know, I think a good way I could put it is, all right, atheists. Mm-hmm. All right, so you don't believe in God. That's still a belief. So why the fuck would you believe in that? Why not just try to believe in the thing that most people think will bring them good things? Like,
I think for some people it's fun to be the anti.
Exactly. It's just like...
That's all it is.
Just like being edgy. That is literally all it is.
I was going to say that. That is, yes, it's like, just being edgy.
You're still believing in something. You're believing in the fact that there's nothing, that there's no God. All right, what good is that going to do? You're just going to be another ape on this world. Like, fuck that. I want to believe in something that's going to hopefully bring me good things. And I guess when it starts bringing me good things...
But then it's fun, though, because then... So this is where it comes into what God did you believe in as a kid? Because when you ask yourself that question as an adult, do I believe in God? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. Which God do I believe in? As a kid, I used to believe in this one. So you go back. And then, 9 times out of 10 it works. And that one time you'll go and you'll have to find another church. But it's important what you started as. So for someone who lost the faith but was Jewish, generally speaking, they'll come back to Judaism. For someone who was Buddhist and lost the faith and comes back, generally speaking, they'll go to Buddhism.
For sure.
And the same goes for Islam, goes for any sort of religion. So, for me, when I finally came back in mine, there was no doubt where I was going.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I genuinely believe that it doesn't matter. Now, that being said, you can't just believe in Satan being the Holy Christ. But, I mean, maybe you can as long as you're not doing the act of Satan, in my view.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're... And this is, like, something that people have issues with just in general. It's like maybe someone who views Satan doesn't view Satan necessarily as wholly bad. But tries to see the good in them, and okay, whatever. But are you committing acts of sin, genuine acts of hurting other people?
Yeah,
that's all I care about. If your belief system sets you up to treat other people properly, genuinely speaking, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. It
just doesn't really matter to me.
I think that's very important. Yeah, I think what it comes down to is just don't be hurting people, don't be fucking people over, don't be acting maliciously towards others. And I think just doing that in general, even if you have nothing else figured out in life, you have no clue what you want to do, good things will gravitate towards you because that's what you're putting back out into the world. If you put shitty things back into the world, what do you think is going to come about?
Yeah, and that's not necessarily an aspect of Christianity, which I really like. That's actually an aspect of, like, spirits or whatever the fuck, like good energy. Yeah, and you're acting as if it's not a real thing. Yeah. Hello, yes. You start putting, like, think about someone who only smiles at people in the world and someone who only frowns. What kind of faces, generally speaking, that person who smiles is going to see when they make a connection, an eye-to-eye connection with someone? Then, generally speaking, they're going to see another smile. When someone has an angry look at you and you meet eyes, you almost, like, just want to look away. That's the kind of look that you're going to get when you're sad. So, of course, it projects. Bigger thing is when your attitude gets put out there. So your actions, the stuff that you're actually taking care of doing, people, whether they want to admit it or not, know exactly when you're doing something with good faith and when you're not.
For sure.
And they may not be able to even realize it in themselves and talk about it, but they know that someone was doing something for just the money. They know someone was doing something just for, in a relationship just for sex. It's very easy to tell. Yeah. May not want to admit it, but
I think there's so many things in life that are, first off, obvious, and whether it's you realize it or not, well, if you consciously realize it or not, there's so many truths that are just like, why not just accept them for what they are and try to roll with it? It comes down to, like, what you were saying about the smiling thing. It's like, let's be real. The person that's, I guess, we'll say happier. Well, no, I want to use the negativity. Somebody that's negative in life, somebody that's just moping around and shit like that, whatever. What do you think they're...
What are you bound to attract?
Yeah, exactly. It's not fucking hard to see because...
Go through the scenario in your head right now. I'm walking down the street and I just am pissed off. I'm looking at my phone, cussing. Fuck. Motherfucker. Shit. I just bump into you. Do you think your reaction is going to be like when you just get bumped into normally? Or are you going to be like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because there's already an escalation. Yeah. Now, another scenario. Someone's just walking down the street and just turns their head the other way and hits you in the shoulder. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's just like, sorry, man. Yeah.
Don't worry, man. Hey, it's no big deal. It's two totally different reactions by you. I don't think either one was bad, but it's just going to piss you off, right? So when you're projecting that negativity in a workplace, right, how do you think your coworkers are going to treat you?
Oh, yeah.
If you're a boss, how do you think your employees are going to treat you when you are projecting negativity? Do you think they're going to treat you with positivity?
I saw something today, and it was like a bunch of workers dressed up as their boss.
I saw the same thing.
When I saw it, I was like, they would have never done this if they didn't like the boss.
Exactly.
It would have never been a thing.
Never.
So it's like, clearly, good things attract good things, fun things. I just, like, there's plenty of people that have reasons to be pissed off in life. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people that have had it a lot rougher than other people, but what the fuck are you going to do with your experience? What the fuck are you going to do with what you've been through? You can sit in the shit and just rot, or you could try to slowly elevate yourself. And when something bad happens again, keep trying to slowly elevate yourself. It's not going to lead to a shitty place. It's going to...
You're talking common sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think so many people fucking lack that.
A lot of people lack common sense, yeah. The thing with the positivity thing is they most likely were brought up by not positive people.
Yeah, for sure.
Or haven't seen a positive person really take effect. Like,
for sure.
When you, for the first time, not in the first time, so have you ever been in, like, I'll say a situation room, like an experience where you're kind of in a panic? Maybe something's going wrong, maybe something at work is like fucking up and you're not gonna be able to get the job done in the day, whatever it is. And all of a sudden the boss comes or someone comes who has a little bit of know-how, a little bit of gusto, And all of a sudden, things just flip on a dime.
It just feels
better.
And
it feels better. It feels like someone's in control. It feels like the situation's been handled. And not only that, it feels like you're now participating in something that's working.
Yes, exactly.
If you've had that feeling before, that's positivity. Now, that person doesn't have to be necessarily the happiest person in the world, but they have to demonstrate. And they have to give off some sort of vibe that's not, this sucks.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a boss that said, today, had a really bad day, and just want to let you guys know that I've had this bad day, and I'm still going to need you to get 100% of work done, but no. If that boss had a bad day, generally speaking, I don't know about you, but that boss probably just internalized it and put on a face for you.
Yeah.
It may not have been a happy face, but he or she came out and was able to represent a boss-like stature to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? That's what it's like. It's not necessarily that you're not going through a bad time. It's not necessarily that shit's not happening to you. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, for sure.
Are you going to take it out on people who have nothing to do with the situation?
Exactly. I get that fully.
I think that's what we're talking about,
yeah.
though. I think that's basically the essence. Like you get in a fight with your wife. Now all of a sudden you're going to go into work and you're going to just keep complaining about your wife. What does that attract?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it doesn't attract: friends.
Yeah.
People don't want to listen to that.
You're gonna get the other guy in the office that's gonna just complain about his wife to you.
And then that's gonna be your friend.
Yep. And then that's gonna just create a shitstorm. Or the next day when you guys made up, you go back into work, that guy's gonna start talking to you again, complaining about his wife.
And now you're not gonna listen to it.
Exactly. Now you're not on that same level, and it's like, you know what, just consciously.
Because there's nothing wrong with just complaining about stuff and stuff like that with certain people. But it gets to a point like, is that the persona you want to put on?
Exactly. Yeah. Is that really what, like, for me personally, like, especially when I was a kid and shit, like, I don't know, people associate me with, like, darker things and shit like that.
They do.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, there's a lot of truth to it, but it's not like...
I think it's also, if you don't mind me saying, I think it's also something that people instilled on you that you kind of took on for the people. I think you just tried to represent it a little bit. Maybe jokingly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But
yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
At this point in your life, like, it's not really helping you. That part of you, it's not really helping you. Yeah. So why would you want to keep holding on to it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I think, like, when I was younger, a lot of it had to do with, like, music and shit like that. That obviously darker music, like, I would wear the shirts and shit because I'm just into that music. But it's like, okay, it's aggressive music. It's not the conventional shit that most people are listening to. But definitely when I was younger, because I was younger listening to this and displaying the fact that I was listening to it, like, that does bring out something in people that, like, they'll joke around about it with you, and then you just start to, like, accept it. Like, that is 100%.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, I don't know, I still listen to that. Like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with listening to it either. I think an important thing to say is, like, all right, maybe you listen to that type of stuff, or maybe that stuff has a good effect on you, but if you really pay attention to the words in popular music, I mean, really, take away the hit tune behind it, and you just look at the lyrics. A lot of them are almost just as dark, if not darker, than, like, metal.
Oh yeah,
rock.
hey, it's all fucking stupid too.
It's all just as fucked up in their own way, their own Hollywooded way. It's all fucked up.
And don't get me wrong, I listen to everything for the most part besides country. Sorry, but
it's funny though. But I mean, I'm gonna flip your boat on that. But it's so funny to me that you don't like country.
Never been.
I think it's just a different kind of music. It's definitely more from the heart. It's not,
for sure.
You know, you're not in that new age. You're not really playing with a computer. It's like, and you know, I don't necessarily think that's better or worse. I think that's just a different style of music.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've always listened to, like, darker type music, mainly because.
What do you consider darker type music, by the way? Because there's some levels of music that just get like, even I've been there where you're just listening to music and you're like, wow, this sounds like Yeah, this guy definitely hung himself from the ceiling fan.
Yeah,
after he made this song, and half the time he did.
Yeah. You know? I don't know, just darker type music in the sense that when people listen to it, like the majority of people listen to it, they'll be like, that does not display a happy emotion, or that doesn't display like fun or anything.
Is it like screamo? Is it? Are you still into that type of like metal?
Yeah. I mean, music? I listen to it mainly. Well, that's a big thing to say, kind of, because it wraps into what we're saying. I only listen to that for the most part when I'm working out now, because you can't be listening to that shit all the time, or else you're just gonna always be in this aggressive state. That's kind of how I was when I was younger, always listening to shit like that, always in this aggressive state. Or if you're listening to something sad, you're always going to be down in that vibration. But I don't know. I think when I say darker music, it's just something that doesn't display
happiness,
a generic emotion where it's just like, even like there's a clear display of either being sad or being like aggressive or something.
So when
like
you
that.
say darker, is the music representing like a self-harm or harming others type of thing, or like what is dark?
Most of the time, like that could be like a theme depending on.
Because I think of rap. I think of rap, and most of those are, if you really boil it down, they're completely dark. They're talking about drug dealing. They're talking about murder. They're talking about sex. They're talking about everything that you would not want to be included in just a happy song.
Yeah.
That being said, the melody behind it, the beat behind it, and it sounds happy.
Yeah.
And you could be talking about slinging your meat to any woman that you can, and selling more drugs than the whole Mexican cartel combined, and it still sounds happy.
Yeah, I get
Whereas when you get into like the area of like metal and screamo, like it's very hard for people to see that as a happy type of music, even if the lyrics are completely, like imagine a complete metal song but the lyrics are happy.
Yeah.
Still, most people will say that's not a happy song just because of what's behind it.
Yeah.
Whereas a rap song, it could go 50-50. Because it depends on
exactly. Yeah. No, I totally get that. There's 100% truth behind that. I mean, it depends. Just in general, I've always been attracted to like
darker message.
Yeah, like a darker message. And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, because I'm still kind of attracted to like darker, extreme type things. But I just, first off, I don't let that be my fucking persona. That's not my personality. But I just don't think, like,
just because you enjoy it doesn't mean it needs to be everything you're about.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not. I'm relatively. I wouldn't say I'm like a happy person, but I'm not like. I'm just me.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't know how else to put it.
It's
like,
fun. It's funny.
I'm content.
If I was to just rate Vinny's mood, I don't think I've ever seen him above a 7, but I don't think I've ever seen him below a 4.
Yeah.
Like completely serious. Like 100%. It's just like you're in that block.
Yeah.
And
I'm just like
doing
me.
You're telling me only things I already know.
Yeah, like I like what I like, and despite liking things that are a little bit more like macabre, I don't know. I don't think that's the right word, but
yeah, I mean, I get what you're trying to say, though.
I'm still going to be a good person. I'm still going to try to attract the things I want in life. Like
exactly, yeah.
I think a lot of people take what they're into, and they just make it their personalities. I hate that shit. I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Like imagine your whole persona being about the truck you drive. So all of a sudden literally. You're that Ford guy that wears Ford hats.
Yeah.
That wears Ford.
And I'm
it's
literally
like, okay, yes, I want a truck, but like no, I don't think I'm like that guy. But no, I get it. But exactly. it can consume you. So what if your whole lifetime you're just revolved around like.
I hate that shit, dude. I really do.
My whole life just revolved around this podcast.
Yeah.
And I just didn't shut the fuck up. I didn't do anything else, but I drive myself crazy. I think if I didn't have something else to just do myself, like if I talked all day long, every day to someone else, Mm-hmm. Like some people's podcast is. I think I'd go insane. I think that's just not what. But it's not. It's like I think that's what it becomes too. Is like what's driving you. Like, is what's driving you is what's driving you whatever your passion is. Like big thing for me is like when I feel like doing something, do you go and do it or do you make excuses?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like going out for a ride right now in your car, what's stopping you? Yeah. You know, because most of the time with me, I'm just gonna go take a ride. Yeah. When it comes down to it, but for a lot of people, it's I have someone to take care of. Oh, my family's here. But if you just need some space, what's wrong with a 15-minute car ride? Mm. Is it that big of a deal? Is it, if you just need that time? Or if you just need that drink, you just need to relax. You just need to take a breather, go to the bar, go have a drink. Mm-hmm. What's stopping you from doing that? Huh? Vice versa. All you do is drink. Maybe it's that day to stop drinking. What's stopping you from doing that? Are you afraid? I don't know. You need to ask yourself what it is that you need to go do. You need to go do it. Mm-hmm. It can no longer, if you want to be a better person, we can pretty much close it out with this. If you want to be a better human being and just a better person in general, why are you not doing what's best for you? Mm-hmm. Why are you not pursuing exactly what you already know to be best?
Yeah.
Right? School, good example. For me, I saw school as being not only not good for me, but detrimental. So I left. For you, school is not only positive, it's the only positive you have at the moment. Not right now, but as a freshman, wherever you're going. Yeah. What else do you have? Yeah. Just go to school. Yeah. Just go. You don't have an alternative. That is your good. Now that you're older, maybe you have a decision between school and work. I'm 3 months away from a degree. Why would I just get the degree, right?
Yeah.
Perspective changed, but you're also in a different position when you were 19. Mm-hmm. When you're a human being, you have to be in a constant state of reevaluation. Now, it doesn't mean you're changing your life plans every day, but have a time to do so. Mm-hmm. Am I still happy? I've been working this job for 10 years. Do I like it? Do I still like my boss? Mm-hmm. Do I still like my owners? Do I want to maybe chase something else?
Yeah. I think this has a very good... That has a lot to do with when people... Like what I was saying, like, you see this a lot. Like, if you're a metalhead or something, you attach yourself around that. You look like you're into that type of music. You act like you're in that type of...
Instead of just letting it be one little part.
Yes, exactly. People need to fucking realize that, like... And what you were saying about the truck, that's so fucking true, bro. People, like, turning that into their personality.
But it can be like that with it. It could be metal.
Yeah, it is anything. But people need to realize you need to have multiple... You need to have layers. You need to be a fucking person. Like, not only do you... Baseline, you should be a good fucking person. There's no... Every single fucking person should be a decent person. Yes, for sure. But... you could be into so many different fucking things. You could be into... I don't know, like...
Just go rattle off a list.
Yeah, you could be a fucking lawyer that's fucking, like, whoring themselves out at night for literal money. Like, literally being a prostitute. But you know what? Is all these different things making up this one fucking person. They're a family man, they're sucking dick at night, and they're a successful lawyer type shit. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're a good person and you're striving to just better yourself.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think it's hilarious. I think what you just made up is one of the funniest circumstances that I hope somebody is a lawyer out there sucking dick on their extra 2 hours
literally.
tonight.
I feel like people just don't like to have multiple layers to themselves, and that's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't need to have two faces, because two faces is not cool.
You just need to be your fucking self.
But that doesn't mean you need to be completely consumed by one little thing you do. And, it's
okay to be into multiple things that kind of contradict each other. And
100%. Metal, darker music, and just being a good guy. You don't necessarily equate the two, but...
Listening to music about people literally being murdered and burned alive, but you're still a good person. You're still fucking... You're like... taking care of kids at daycare or something. Like, you could still be that person, and it's not gonna. It doesn't take away from the fact that you're into this, you're into that. It doesn't, because it doesn't fucking matter.
It's so true.
I think that's a huge.
I think
that's huge.
Like a real weird story. I guess that kind of says the same thing. I saw a video on Instagram of this guy who was just so covered with tattoos, head to toe. Gauges.
I'm sure, literally head to toe. Yeah.
And he's saying like hi to his baby. Yeah. That is his son, and his wife is almost as tattooed as him, and the baby is so happy.
Yeah.
It is one of the happiest babies I've ever seen. I'm like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly. And you know for a fact people are looking. There's plenty of people looking at that.
Which I probably would myself too. If you see him walking down the street, you're telling me you're not going to judge him a little bit. You're not going to be like, oh, whoa.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah. No, I definitely look twice.
Is a baby born with tattoos? It got a.
Yeah.
It's got some black ink running down it.
Yeah. Literally.
But no, it's but it's nothing. Almost absolutely nothing wrong with it, man. It actually makes you feel good to see the happiness come from a child.
Yeah, certain things do make, like, there's certain things that make me feel good to see is when, and I guess this is when stereotypes could come into play. When you see somebody that usually, I'm only going to come back to this because it makes more sense, but when you see like a metalhead or something like that, or you see some redneck looking motherfucker with a massive truck or some shit,
it just works.
Doing things that go against that stereotype, shit like that makes me happy, because it's like, okay, they don't give a fuck about.
I love that. Let me just say, I love that.
Shit like that.
And this is the honest truth. Y'all may not be able to totally go with it, but most of those redneck motherfuckers are decent people. Yeah. It's just that they're their own weird, decent person. They're not
used to a way of life that you're not used to.
Yeah, exactly.
People living on farms are going to have a much different upbringing than people in the city, but that doesn't mean they can't be into the same shit. You got like,
by no means. It's just interesting, and it is a weird little box that people put themselves in where they like act as if you can't, like, good was when you started thinking about making music, and how many people would either give you good advice or say, yeah, go for it, and some people would just be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, the people that said, what the fuck are you doing, do you know what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because especially if you're a friend of yours, it's like, well, you're telling him not to go try something new because what? Because you're afraid he's going to fail?
Exactly.
It's like, he is either going to succeed or fail. It is the two things that can happen. Yeah. And either way, you're going to get in his head about the failure part.
Yeah. When you have nothing to do with the process. Other than you either uplifting or...
Other than you telling them about it in the first place. And that's what makes me laugh. It's like, just about life in general. What is the point of a naysayer? What is the point of allowing that person to have any impact on your life?
There's literally no point. Nobody knows. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that know better than you, but for your own good.
For your own good.
Most people don't know what the fuck is better for.
It's not to take advice and stuff, but when someone genuinely thinks that you shouldn't go out on a venture for yourself, for your own good, you need to second guess why you're listening to that person, why you're letting them get in the way of your decisions, because it's not good. What's the woman saying? Apparently Teddy just ran down the street.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
Oh, should we...
We don't have to. We don't have to. I think it was controlled.
Yeah, that's funny as fuck. Good boy.
Yeah, he's all good though, man. He's all good. But I don't want to hold on to you too long though, dude. But this conversation's getting fucking fun.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think the one thing I like touching on is just like people not restricting themselves to what they think they should, what they think they are.
I think it's an important point to make. In this day's society,
people are afraid, bro. People are pussies. Be yourself.
Something I love to call back on is when you have... So think about when we were high school juniors and seniors going into the college process.
Yeah, right? Fuck that shit, but yeah.
Exactly. Why fuck that shit? They didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't take it. Not that you didn't. You probably did everything you could and more.
My dad did all that shit, I'm not gonna lie.
No, but I'm saying you did your essays, you did whatever you had to do. I'm not saying that you gave it 100% effort. I'm saying you got the shit done. Whatever you had to do, your applications, you just got it done. And then you had a guidance counselor, whoever, just saying, I think you'll be a good fit here. This is why. You've told me this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no interaction. Is there a job you actually see yourself doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Questions never asked. Is there something you'd like to set yourself up for?
Yeah.
Because imagine you were to say to your, imagine a realistic person goes to their guidance counselor. I'd like to be a musician.
Yeah. Yeah, what the fuck do you think they're going to say?
What do you think they're going to say?
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to say, go join whatever band, whatever we got, and then go apply to these schools for music.
Mm.
Instead of, I heard of YouTube.
Yeah.
That works. You have an instrument? Save up for one.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need me
that's
or anybody else.
That's what a guidance counselor does.
That's what a guidance counselor
Yeah, exactly.
should do. Go to school. Go this. Go that. Do you know how many resources are out there now to just learn to do something crazy?
Yeah.
Because I'd rather you fail at 16, 15, 14,
yeah,
17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
I'd rather you fail at these ages than fail at 30, 40 years old when you have a family depending on you, when your whole life is riding on you.
When you have a place to pay for and shit like
when
that.
When your creativity levels are through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
Why would you not be taking advantage to fail?
Yeah.
It's the best time to fail.
There's so many young artists and rappers and shit that are literally like 14, 15, 16.
How much better are they than... Right now, how much better are they than the current best? That doesn't mean consistently, but their best song.
Yeah.
Their best song is better than this whole album.
It just has...
It has something new about it. It has that freshness that
exactly.
It's a new artist, and it doesn't sound so monotone.
And they tried it. They tried it, which is the most important thing because...
How good is it when you see someone that you fucking know?
Yeah.
You know?
People, yeah. No, you're 100% right. People gotta not be afraid to try and be themselves.
But that's why I push you, dude. That's why, like, I love that you just haven't let the music thing 100% go. Like, all right, you got to recalibrate and figure it out again. That doesn't mean you stop.
Yeah.
I love that because at some point it really triggered a new mindset on yourself and it really turned into something new. Why'd you let it go? You didn't, so that's good.
Yeah.
Keep it fucking going. And that goes for everybody out there. If there's something that you think you could do on the side, on top of your normal job, that's fun, that you already know how to do. Whether it's play video games and videotape it, whether it's singing, whether it's podcasting, whether it's... Big one is writing.
Yeah.
If you were... I have to be honest, if you were brought up in the American school system, you can write better than 75% of businesses that do advertisements. I have to be honest. Their editing is horrifying. Do you know how much money you can make just writing up shit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an amazing amount, but if you just put yourself out there and get a good connection, you never know.
Yeah.
You just never know, man.
100%.
And how would you ever know that you're even worth anything with typing or writing if you don't just ask someone to write for them, make some money?
No really successful person has ever created that success off of like one thing.
No.
Like not many. I feel like
very rarely are you like a true one-hit wonder.
Yeah. So it's like just do shit, dude. Just like
do it well.
Yeah, and just try your best.
I think the important thing is do it well. It doesn't mean you have to do it perfectly, but do the best that you can right now.
Yeah,
do better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from your mistakes. Maybe your mistake is as simple as I could have done that this much better yesterday, and I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it every day.
Amen.
Do that every single day. If you get this much better every day, and then you look back on the year, that's this much.
Yeah.
Right?
100%, dude. Yeah, I feel like the theme of this whole podcast is betterment.
That's what we'll call it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's actually pretty good. Betterment. Yeah, but like,
we'll pretty much end it around this though. It's a good it's a good portion to end up on.
Yeah, we have a fuck ton we could talk about, but
no, you'll be back on.
Yeah.
This has been one of my favorite. I didn't talk about 4 of the 5 topics I wanted to talk about today, really.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's literally fine. Okay, let's see. Let's recap. Don't be a piece of shit. Try things. Don't seclude yourself to one aspect of who you are.
Absolutely.
Don't use things to generalize situations. Don't be a fucking like racist or fucking like don't label shit like that. See things for how it really is.
Yeah, not dive deeper.
Dive deeper. Yeah. Fucking.
I think a big thing. I think to generalize this whole podcast. Focus on yourself.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Doesn't mean stop focusing on everybody else, but focus on yourself.
Because that's going to lead to the world being a better place, which is tacky, but is literally the truth. So it doesn't fucking matter. It's the truth.
No, if you make this little bitty bit better about the world, aren't you improving it?
Yeah. Simple as that. It's not that fucking hard to understand. People are just stupid.
Hey, fucking men, brother.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm good to cut it.
Yeah, I got to piss, so that works. Hell yeah.
Bye, man.